So here we are again. Hello again there, friends and fans. Raptor here, and more big news for Manor Lords. Now, recently at the end of October, I covered some news directly from Manor Lords Twitter, where Greg said that he was working on a new map for Manor Lords, but it is confirmed now that there is multiple new maps coming in, 2 to be precise, and a little update on some things regarding water and markets and some other buildings being added to the game. And this is a tremendously big step forward for me, at least, because I was kind of honestly getting bored and burnt out on the same maps. I honestly think I've built on every single region in Manor Lords and was kind of looking for something new. As I mentioned in our previous video, I was talking about all the things I was hoping for our new maps, and I was hoping for some big cliffs and some rivers and maybe lakes. And the new recent updates to Manor Lords finally allow us to have ponds for fishing, which can be randomly spawned, which I thought was a great feature, but I need to see some giant mountains, some cliff sides, and some lakes and rivers, and a combination of all of those in these future maps. Now, there's some pictures out of what the maps will look like with a few homes and things built, and they certainly have a gorgeous skybox to them, possibly areas where we might be able to build on. They certainly look steep, but it definitely looks to me like the Tetra Mountains or something along the lines of the Alps. And with Manor Lords, in my mind, taking place kind of anywhere in medieval Europe, although it's of course kind of a little more around a couple of different regions that pull together. It could be anywhere, and I think that's a perfect fit, and I think it's a great step forward for the game, not only for the new maps, but also some things that are confirmed about AI city building. Yeah, Greg the other day also mentioned that it's making him happy to see that people are now requesting a lot more of AI cities instead of economy refactors. So essentially, just instead of constantly redoing the mechanics for the trading systems and the marketplaces, people are now wanting to see AI cities and those cities to be growing. And to add to his point, I think if we're going to be able to take over or maybe siege enemy cities, they also need to be able to function, and there needs to be more understanding for the marketplaces. And that's something that has been touched on as well. So the rework to marketplaces will essentially make goods easier to understand and filter through, and then also the same with the water, which kind of was non-existent before. You would build a well and that was that, and maybe people would go there to put out a fire, but you never really saw anybody using it, or it wasn't a factor for businesses to be near, like the bakery or like the blacksmith that would use water for their daily production, or people for drinking water or what have you. And so it's another great big step forward for Manor Lords. But probably the biggest step isn't really related to anything new in terms of the game's updates, but a new update regarding the Game of the Year. Well, the Game Awards, yeah. So the Game Awards, Jeff Keighley, all that, honestly, I think it's getting dumber and dumber every year. I hate to complain about it, but, this year they've nominated, like, the Elden Ring DLC, and last year they had a remake for Games of the Year. And Manor Lords was recently nominated for an award that I think is the best debut, and indie best debut, that is. And it's in there against, like, Frostpunk, and I think also maybe another big favorite of mine, I think Pacific Drive, maybe not, but I think they might be in some other categories. And Manor Lords, because it's still working, on being a better game, it certainly was an amazing game and one of the most anticipated games on Steam for a very long time, especially when it dropped. People wanted a game like this. It didn't just have to be Manor Lords, but whatever this game was or is something people wanted forever. It just happened to be Manor Lords, and I think that's really important and cool. However, I think it's a little unfair to put Manor Lords up against Frostpunk, because Manor Lords is still very much in development, and Frostpunk is getting, quality of life updates, and I expect the same for Manor Lords whenever it comes out. And Greg says that 1.0 release is finally here. I guarantee that he's going to be continuously adding stuff all the time. A lot of games are like that, where 1.0 drops and yet it still feels like they were maybe in a beta, not because that they were incomplete by any means, but because the developers just continued to add update after event and other things. And I hope the very much same for Manor Lords, where after the 1.0 release, Greg will continue to add things that we haven't seen before, like multiplayer, which might never come, but I'm just saying something that's so massive that you would have never seen it coming, or something that was denied and said, nope, that's never going to happen, and then it does, that kind of thing. So great news. I want to talk more about the maps now on Manor Lords, and just talk about how if we're getting 2 new maps, I think the old map then could definitely stay the same, but also get a rework. Now, by that I mean, I hope we get a beta map that stays there the way it is now, so that way everyone can continue to load their old cities and nothing becomes obsolete. I hope we get a reworked old map as well that has maybe different features and or is bigger, and I hope these new maps are bigger than the original map as well, and or allows us to build in different regions of those maps. That'd be cool too if you wanted a smaller scenario to be more intricate and intimate, to having maybe a small settlement or a couple of them connected together. But then again, you don't have to expand to the whole map, and you don't have to play on the regular game mode of being invaded and attacked. You can always do prosperity mode, and that's a good way to learn some of these new features like the marketplaces. Now, going back to what was said about the marketplaces then, I think these are great for the new maps too, because if we're going to have larger maps and bigger maps to build in, I want to be building more settlements and not necessarily managing all these cities micro city-wise. But oh, and another thing too, Manor Lords is the winner of the grand prize at the Dev Gam Awards, so that's cool too. Manor Lords winning awards left and right, and I really am just so happy to see, like, Polish devs and Czech and Slovakian devs and Polish devs, or not just Poland, but other regions, I should say, outside of Poland and around, just kicking ass. All these people just following dreams and getting great support from great people who really want to see the games perform the best. And so going back to what I said about that, Manor Lords is now in closed testing for the new features and the new maps. So it will likely go into early, like, open beta access to everyone, this new update, and then there'll be some bug fixes, and then eventually it'll be released. And this is typically how Manor Lords has been doing it now, where something will go into a closed access for big new features and or reworks for things, then they'll be tweaked to all manner of the word, and then eventually will be released in an open beta where everyone can play. You just have to have, like, the code or whatever, and then it eventually becomes the new version, like the latest version of Manor Lords. So we'll have to expect for sometime soon to be updates about the map and the market systems and all the new buildings too, which you can definitely see in this video. So it's kind of a TBD sometime soon. Hopefully we get it sooner than later update for Manor Lords on new maps, new marketplace rework, new functions for water, and more than likely more new surprises. Sometimes I'm a little tempted to make a Manor Lords video anytime that there's new news, but typically what's been happening with Greg as well is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of news come out within the matter of 2 weeks, and I feel like I'd never stop talking about Manor Lords all the time. So definitely continue to let me know about any news you hear about Manor Lords, especially that is posted on Steam or Twitter, which seems to be the most official kind of announcement of things that have already been decided or underway, and get hyped for more great stuff for Manor Lords. I honestly am very excited to see where this game will go in the next couple of years. I want to see more things added to, well, more maps, not just 2 more, but I also want to see these maps have a massive change to the gameplay. Like, for example, a river that maybe there's only 1 or 2 bridges across, or maybe we can build the bridges, or in a winter setting, a large lake that can protect your city, but the enemy can, of course, attack in the winter because it'll freeze over, that type of thing. I'd like to see the landscape become much more of a part of the game and be worked into defenses and also kind of some farmability. It would be cool that if, certain mountainsides or whatnot, because of the rain running down them, would provide more nutrients to the land, or maybe a fortifiable position with like a large cliff, or something that we could build a castle on, and that's something I'm really looking forward to. If you look all over Poland and all the other places that I've listed, all those castles seem to be in some of the most beautiful areas. And in fact, when I play Kingdom Come Deliverance now and Manor Lords, I'm thinking about both games at the same time, and I hope that we can build some really beautiful looking medieval cities eventually that start to look more and more like Kingdom Come, with things like monasteries and breweries and giant castles and churches that are almost like cathedrals, although smaller than that, something along those lines. So certainly a lot of potential for Manor Lords, certainly a lot of questions and hopes and dreams. With AI villages still confirmed to be coming, it'll be really exciting then to finally see a brand new map, and then hopefully later on AI updates that will then allow the enemy to be able to build in those cities too, or those maps, and build cities that we can then capture. So I feel like these are 2 massive steps forward for Manor Lords. New cities with a rework to all the markets and maps, for that, and then also the ability for the AI to do those things too. That's just a huge step forward, something that we've been waiting for a long time, but I'm still ready to be excited and hyped about any random thing that comes out. Like, for example, last time with the crossbows and a rework to how animals were done with, like, for example, the burgage plots, allowing for, what was it, sheep or goats or whatever, and then, of course, pigs, too, and then the rework of the butcher with salted meat, and then the mining of salt. So, we'll see. Maybe these new maps will trigger new resources to come into the game. Maybe we'll get larger deposits, and maybe there'll be some more set-in-stone deposits that will always be found in certain areas to give maps a certain advantage. Or maybe there'll be options for that to be turned on or to be turned off. I don't know. Anyway, I'd like to know from you down below in the comments section. If you watched this far, please do let me know what you think would be best for Manor Lords next. What is something that is missing? What is something that you want to see? And what do you think would be the most interesting future for Manor Lords next? Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much for watching this brief little update. Hope you're as excited as I am. And I will see you all soon. Take care, everybody. Goodbye.